Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the World Championship Racing Grand Prix here in France. It is round 8 of the F1 calendar. I am very excited for this race. I am Ben Regan McConnell, and joining me will be Jamie M. Casa Elder. I believe he has just joined us now.
Evening.
How are you doing?
Not too shabby. Yourself?
Good, yeah, I'm super excited for this track. One of the main things I love about this track is the fact that there's such wide open spaces. The runoff areas are enormous, so you'll see a lot of drivers that will be taking more risks than normals. So obviously, like you've got tracks like Monaco and Baku, where the circuit is really tight, really narrow, and obviously they will have full utilization of the ultra soft compounds, and if they choose so, they'll have the super soft and the softs as well to go with it. But it's going to be a really, really interesting race nonetheless.
Absolutely.
Obviously, this is the home for Team Renault. This is the place where they show themselves at best, and hopefully they'll be bringing them some very valuable points for their team, as Rick will definitely be doing everything he can. So there are 15 turns here on this really beautiful track. There are 2 DRS zones in particular, loads of overtaking opportunities, and we are going to get right into it.
Yeah, it's a lovely track. It's one of the. It's been around for ages, but it went away in, I want to say, the 90s as it moved to Monaco. Stayed there for a bit, then came back here. The original circuit was pretty much the same as it is now. Just the chicane of 8 and 9 wasn't there, so it's just a dead straight. I mean, you can still do it now, but there's some things in the way that prevent you from doing it. So I think it is pretty much identical to how it was back in the 80s. And yeah, so it's a lovely track, and apparently the colours around are different levels of grip. Whether or not that's true or not, we don't know, because it doesn't really affect us in this game.
So, lots of drivers in this track, lots of very quick drivers. Some faces we see from other racing leagues, and some are obviously very true to WCR in itself. Before we get properly underway, I do want to get started with your predictions off the bat. So, no pressure, but who are your top 3?
I don't know. I mean, we've got a few. Well, definitely one person I've just seen straight off the bat who hasn't been in this race before, Rayner. He's looked good in the past. Julian's here as well, who's always a bit unpredictable in all honesty. He can have some good races and he can have some absolute shockers at times. Roy, another one. I don't think, in all honesty, for Roy, great guy, but I don't think he's going to have the pace to run at the front here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's going to be tight, I reckon, but I reckon Drake Bell might nick it from Rick and then Brownie.
Well, there are 2 captain consistencies in this race today. You got Hazard, who is very well known. You know, he races under the name of Shazoo. Very good driver overall. Yeah, he's down in P17. So I'm going to go off the bat. I'm going to say I think Rayner will get P1.
Oh.
He is really quick, really, really quick. The only issue he may have when it comes to the race is his consistency. Is he able to keep it together and keep himself out of trouble? Which brings me then on to the captain consistencies of the race. Hazard and Astro Boys, they are my 2 favorite drivers to watch because of how well they can get around a circuit quite quickly, and neither of them are drivers who are overly confident, throw themselves out there and say, look at me, I'm super amazing. Actually, they just get here, get the job done, get the very valuable points for the Drivers' Championship and put themselves up there in the top spot. However, I will not be putting either of those 2 drivers in my top 3 today, only simply because you have the likes of Drake Bell and Brownie and Julian, who are very quick drivers in general, even Rick, for example. So, I already said I'm going to go with Rayner P1. P2 is going to be Brownie for me. P3, see, I'm going to go with Julian.
You reckon he's got it?
Pace, yeah, absolutely. Julian's pace lately has been back to the old Julian of ways, where we've seen him just absolutely tear it through tracks, through past drivers. I was watching him racing it on Sunday in F2, and he was driving out of his mind. I don't think I've seen him drive as good as that in a long time. So, yeah, P1, definitely going to go to Rayner for me. P2, Brownie, and then P3, Julian.
Well, your boy Rayner is about to start a flying lap then, so let's go on board with him as he shows us how you do circuit de Paul Ricard.
Should we do a little ride along?
As always, first DRS section ends in the left and then right, and then this is where it starts getting a little bit tricky because you kind of want to just run it the whole way there But obviously, the track is very wide in terms of the runoff area. Then throw it into 4, 3, and then 4. And then you get a tight 5, which opens up into 6, which does actually require you to lift off a little bit, which catches some people out if they don't quite expect it. Then just foot down through 7, and then you're onto this long back straight. DRS assisted, and yeah, I mean, it's just a dead straight, isn't it? There's not much else to it. There's no ups, there's no downs. But then you've got hard braking into turn 8. Picking it is really hard because there's so much more going on. There's so many different track layouts in here. It makes it a little bit harder to pick that braking point. And make sure you actually turn down the right one. I've done that wrong a few times. And then you come up to turn 10, which is this long right-hander. See if he lifts at all. He doesn't. Then into an ever-tightening turn 11. Very late apex. A little wide, but that should be fine. Then into turn 12. It's sort of a carbon copy to 11, just a bit smaller. Then through this long right-hander, turn 13, which then brings you straight into turn 14. And a quick squirt of the accelerator, and then you are going around 15, tight hairpin, power down, DRS open, keep left for the optimal line towards the line, and there you go, 130.6.
So good benchmark to be set there. Reina showing how good he is, but then Hazard, I mentioned him earlier as being captain consistent, not
and then Julian, though.
Captain consistent. Julian making my prediction look promising. Come on, Julian, show me what you're made of. So 2 of my top 3 are already in the top 3 currently. Bear in mind, obviously, we are super early on in the session, so there's still plenty of time left for these drivers to improve and go again. And I think I'm looking set to actually get a good. Although Rick is making things a little bit difficult for me with the 129.606, he's already showing how much pace he has. And bear in mind that is on the super soft compound of tyre. It's not the slowest tyre; it's the second slowest, obviously.
Drake Bell's a
but
fair bit off pace there.
Where is, yeah, he is. He's 6th.
Is the soft, so...
Yeah, I mean, he is still, looking at it, he's only 1.6 seconds off the actual pace, so it's not surprising that he's
the
that
pace
far
on
down.
super softs. Julian did his on ultras, and then Rick's just gone, I can beat that on harder tyres.
Yeah. So you got Brownie, who's just starting his hot lap at the minute. Now, Ray, if you can remember back to last week, Ray was involved in a pretty serious incident with Mr. Zoxon as they were drag racing down the straight. Ray got into the back of Zoxon and off he went into the wall, and that was the end of his race. And that was, what, second to last lap? So, crucial things overall.
Brownie's
Hopefully Ray can bring himself back and pull himself out of the gutter. We'll have to see how he goes on. Somebody else I want to talk about who's just started his hot lap is Astro Boy.
Yeah.
He's a very interesting driver. He is very quick. Let's not take anything away from him. And I do call him captain consistency because of the drivers I've seen on this track, he's up there with Hazard for consistency, being able to be quick, being able to keep it out of penalties, and also just put him down on the track and making sure he's got a name for himself. We saw him in Bahrain where he was really doing so much work to bring himself back up onto the podium. And it almost completely paid off for him. He almost got the win, but didn't quite work out. So the fact that he can do that, you would think that his confidence levels are really high, but they just aren't. Before we get into this race, he actually said earlier, "I'm so nervous. I'm really not looking forward to this race." But he should be.
That's a corner cut though. He's bailed out of this one, so nerves are obviously getting to him already.
Once he calms his nerves, once he gets himself under wraps, I would fully expect to see him up there in the top 4. Providing he doesn't do it on softs, which he is currently doing.
It's an interesting collection, isn't it? Quite a lot on softs. Just look at my
Harry's looking round and he's had an invalidated lap. So has Brownie, who we talked about earlier, backing out of his lap through a corner cutting incident. Top 3 are in the pits. You got Hazard in the pits as well Mr. Zoxon as well. Hazard has done a lap on the supers, and I'm really quite surprised by the pace of Drake Bell, for example, who's done that lap time on the softs. Whilst you have got Rick and Julian who are doing it on the ultra softs, which obviously is the quickest tyre, you know, he's actually really close to their level of performance. Obviously, he did another lap following the first one we saw, and he's improved dramatically. He's 130.3. Yeah. You know, that's literally, what's that? 7 tenths? Yeah, 7 tenths behind P1. That's marginal.
Just interesting. Looking at tyres fitted, Rick has changed onto the ultra softs from the super softs, whilst Julian's still in the pits, but he's put a set of super softs on. But Rick has gone out on a set of ultra softs, so it'd be interesting to see if he's trying to beat his previous, or just gets them running on the ultras and see how they feel. He's at the other side of the track at the moment, so he might just come straight in. But strategy-wise, you won't be able to do this race on a one-stop with ultras. It will have to be a two-stop. Yeah. You won't be looking to do a one-stop with ultras. You've got to go for supers and softs. So anyone starting on the ultras might be hoping for a safety car early on or something to benefit their strategy, allow them to take it easy for a few laps, and go from there. But, well, we'll soon find out, won't we? As Rick is not sure where the corner is.
Let's take a look at Rick as he's going through. Oh, yeah, that is a...
That's cross-country.
Yeah, I suppose he's going to get validated.
He's going straight to pits.
Yeah, I think he... I was going to say...
That wasn't a fly lap, that was just an out lap.
Well, it's an in lap now.
Yeah.
So, scroll further down a little bit, let's take a look at Rainbow. Rainbow is someone who has been quite quick overall in some races, but in the last couple he's not really shone through, and again, not quite the performance he's looking for. 131.6. Granted, it is on the soft compound, but when you're comparing it to the likes of Drake Bell, who's did a 130.3, that is much slower than you need your tyres to be currently going around. Obviously, he does have the option of going again. Fuel is looking pretty good, but yeah, I've got that as well. But he does have good levels of ERS, so it is an option for him to go again if he wanted. I do, however, want to take a look at Julian. Like you said earlier, he did a super soft lap time on the first run. He's now gone out again on the super softs again, and he's coming onto the start of his hot lap.
Well, let's have a look at him then. Well, you already are, aren't you?
Yep, he's on the home straight, foot buried, wing open now.
Yeah, I mean, he does have some pace to him. It's just whether or not he can deliver that pace. We've seen in other series that he can do really well. He can run with the big boys, but then he just gets a little bit. So maybe it's a little hot under the collar when it goes all against him and he loses concentration. But well, this is only qualifying, so hopefully he can keep his concentration for just a lap. But that is very wide. He's still in mode 5, so maybe. No, it might not be invalidated. Obviously, it's near impossible for us to work out if laps have been invalidated. We just have to go by what we see on how they're driving, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, it's looking pretty solid, other than that one little off where it went super wide. I mean, like you say, it didn't invalidate him, or at least if it did, he's still giving it everything. 7 minutes left of the session. He doesn't need to push himself as hard as he can here. If he doesn't want to, he could just bide his time, wait for the track to warm up a bit more, and then really fully utilize a hot track at its best situation. But he's committed, and we'll see if he can actually get himself back onto P1.
Oh, not if he's doing that, he won't. And that might be the end of that lap.
Yeah, he's already backed out.
Yeah. Just a massive amount of oversteer.
Also want to have a look at lap 0. Currently on the first straight. See how he takes the series corners.
A little deep, I thought there. Through 8.
Oh, and that
might be a corner.
Somehow it isn't. He's still running in mode 4.
3.
His fuel is running out, so this is going to be his only chance to commit to a lap time.
Well, I mean, if you're coming straight in, you might as well keep it in high revs, just pin the throttle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you might as well cut corners, they're there to be cut. Well,
yeah,
we say that, people have got penalties for that in the past in other series, so we shouldn't encourage it.
No, and I think, to be honest, it's not the right thing to do,
no.
In my opinion. I think it's a bit cheeky, really.
A bit. There
he goes.
Wrong.
27, 28, 29, 29.4.
Wasn't invalidated. Wow.
Fastest lap time here today. Lap 0 really making a name for himself in his debut in the World Championship Racing Series. Look at Harry though. Harry's done 4 laps on the Super Soft. He is now in the top 10. I mean, it's unlikely that he's going to stay there on that lap time. But if he does, he could really have shot himself in the foot there.
Well, he's done 4 and he's on his way in now, so...
but he's also now at a point where if he doesn't improve through whether it be invalidation or mistakes, he's really done himself over. He just needs to pray that someone is faster. I mean, it's not that much of a pray. He could pray one-handed, really, and it's likely he's going to get knocked down out of the top 10. But still, even if he was aiming for a higher than this, he's going to be looking to do better. Oh, there's a bit of a collision. Rick went into the back of Harry, actually. Oh. Yeah, look, 5-place grid penalty for the two of them. Now, I'm not sure if that's fair on Harry, because all he did was go into the pit, and he got hit in the back. Rick locked up and hit in the back of him, and that was a well-deserved penalty on Rick's side of things. But for Harry, that was a very unfair 5-place grid penalty. Yeah, I mean, it does now mean that he will be able to choose a different tyre at the start of the race.
Well, no, it won't. If he starts 10th, if he qualifies 10th, he won't get to choose. He'll he'll be forced. That's how it works. That's how it works in actual F1. That's for sure. I'm just on board with Blackbird at the moment.
Okay, let's have a look.
Done a 31.5 dead. Coming up to the final 2 corners. It's looking alright so far. Let's see if he can better his time. I think he's got a chance here.
129.
There you go, look at that.
That is a jump and a half. 1.6 second improvement. That's the sort of lap times you want to be smashing out when you're trying to, get up there and make a name. And he's doing it. He's currently with the big boys. Drake Bell also part of the big boys, but he's P6 at the minute. Well, remember, he did his lap time on the soft compound. So him on the super softs right now, not only is this crucial for his strategy, it's also crucial for striking fear into the hearts of his enemies. Except if he does that, then that's not going to help him out at all.
Well, speaking of striking fear, the man who hasn't actually put a time yet is on the Ultra Softs, is on a flyer, as Brownie shows us what the lap should look like. But Ray,
that's a good lap.
just a bit. Ray coming around turn 11 into 12. A few corners to go. Let's see if he can get himself up there. Obviously, he's going to be on the softer compound, so we expect to see a very good time from him. And I hasten to say, if he doesn't get a good time here, he might not get a good time. Or a time.
Yeah. Well, let's see how he does. He's run out of ERS now as he's coming down the home straight. Going to be a 130 at least, 130.1. So it has improved, gone P7, but on the ultra soft tyre, when everyone else around you has done better than you on softs, super softs. Well, in one case, one of them was the softs as well. That's when you're really asking yourself the question of, how am I going to perform in this race? At the minute, it's not looking hopeful if you're Ray.
No, I mean, he's not helping himself by taking out marker boards either, but which is always a hot topic in online lobbies.
Hey, well, I mean, it is if you are, someone who doesn't race with racing line on. Then yeah, absolutely, is a very rough topic because it makes your whole braking reference points really difficult to work out, especially when you rely on them to stop your car in time.
Yeah, he's just
Ray has retired, and so did Mr. Zoxon earlier.
So who should we look at? I've just flicked straight to Astro Boys because he's the next man up.
Yeah, me too, but he's on a mode 0 and not really going for a hot one. So we should probably find someone who is on a hot lap, and I think that's Julian.
On those ultras.
Oh, that was a... Surely he's going to be backing out of this one. Oh, he hasn't really got the time to play.
He's backed out now. He's got enough time to get round and start again, but he's got to go, and go now.
Well, Rick is about to start his fastest lap again. Now, he did it earlier, and I think it was the supers. Yeah, it was the supers he did on earlier. He's now on the softs, and will be doing everything he can to improve. Let's see how he does. Clips out the curve beautifully. Get on the apex of this one. Nice. Get the exit, and don't run too wide, because you will easily get invalidated. Now, Rick is someone I want to talk about just very briefly whilst we are watching him go around, because he is... obviously very well known in the WCR community as he is one of the admins in there, but he is a really nice guy in general and a very quick driver. If you was to race alongside of him on any circuit, you would be privileged to see the pace that he can throw down. The issue he has is he isn't as quick as you need him to be. He's as consistent as you need him to be. I've seen many races where he'll absolutely bang in a phenomenal lap time, and then to be in the next 2 laps smashed out, buried in the wall. And actually, talking to him before this session, he was saying that he thinks on lap 1 he's going to DNF. So his confidence is probably less than Astro Boy's, to say the least. But you know, again, another person when he's behind the wheel can put it down. You know, the difference is Astro Boy executes it a little bit better.
He's bailed.
Yeah, he's retired.
Julian's also. Julian's just looking really messy. I don't know if this is going to be competitive, but it's not looking clean in the slightest.
It is not. Reina has gone P4 with a 129.8. That's the end of the qualifying session for him. Where is Drake Bell? He is currently coming out. He's just finished the chicane after the long straight. Still now going towards the sector. Necronomical Pug down in P17. Still has a chance to improve, but 3 laps in on those supers. Kind of hoping you don't improve, or at least don't get in the top 10.
Well, I was just sitting here with Julian. He's coming round turn 11 now. Let's see if he can better. Where was Drake Bell? Drake Bell's a bit in front, so let's stick with Drake Bell. He'll be the next man.
About to come around the final corner right about now. And the exit of this corner is really important. You don't want to be making any sort of mistakes there, because if you lose the back end, it can cost you some very valuable time. And he goes
That's
P4.
not bad. Julian's
Now.
bailed.
No, he can't bail. He's ruined my prediction.
I mean, oh, what a shame.
So
That's it.
I got 1 of the 3 in the top 3, and Brownie managed to actually get P1. So beautifully done by him for the qualifying session. You
Absolutely.
were as off as I was.
Was I further off than you were?
Who
What
was
was
your P1 again? You said Drake Bell.
I
He
said
was
Drake
P4.
Bell,
Your
Rick
P2.
Brownie, I think. Something like that. That was the drivers, whether or not that's the order.
Yeah. So
So
Brownie was P1 this time round. I think I was closer, only because I said P2 for Brownie. So I'm gonna go that I was closer than you. No.
On
But
your
that
one
5
pick,
place grid-
yeah, but then I also had Drake Bell and Rick. Although
Yeah,
Rick does have a 5-place penalty.
Yeah, but
so,
we don't care about outside of the top 3. Okay.
well,
Speaking of Rick, though, he did get himself a 5-place grid penalty as a collision with Harry entering the pit lane. Again, Harry also got the same penalty, and you think it might have been a bit too unfair, in my opinion, but I know we'll see what the stewards say if it does get sent to them. I fully imagine that it will. Right, now, let's talk a minute about the race itself. So you've seen 3... Did you see that as well?
see what?
Ray retired before we even finished loading.
He's that good. Was he retired or left session?
No, retired.
Okay. Well, we'll find out in a minute, won't we, what's happened. So you were going to ask me about predictions, weren't you?
I was indeed.
So you go
seen
first.
Qualifying. Okay, I'll happily take a first one on this one. Brownie's pace was actually really quite incredible. I think it's hard to really shut him out of being in the podium. Do I put him P1? Yes. On this occasion, I do. I think Brownie has the minerals. I think Brownie has the goods to be able to get himself up into P1. It's just whether or not he's going to be able to keep it like that going through the rest of the circuit. We have lost Ray. Car is still in the game, so he might actually come back.
Yeah,
I'll have
hopefully
to
he'll get
keep
back
an eye
in.
out. So, Brownie P1 for me. Latzero, I don't know enough about him to really sort of place him, but he has shown that his qualifying pace is on point. It's whether or not he's going to be able to get himself as consistent as the driver who's right below him, which is Astro Boys. So, I'm going to, for the first time, go with both of my captain consistencies in the top 3. So, Brownie P1, Astro Boys P2, Hazard P3.
Okay. Similar to what I was going. But I do think Brownie's got this in the bag. Pick up 3 in a row, he will. Every time he's finished on the podium, of which 3 have been on the top and 2 have been on 3rd place. So I mean, if he finishes, he'll be on the podium. I'm going to stick him at the top. P2, I was going to go Hazard as well, so I have to go with Hazard. But my P4, I don't think Astros is going to get it. I think Drake Bell's got this.
Yeah, P3, you mean?
P3. What did I say?
P4.
That's because he's.
I'm just clarifying. So just to recap then. So P1 you think Astro Boys, P2 you think Brownie,
No.
P3...
P1 is Brownie,
Okay,
P2
sorry,
Hazard,
P2 is Astro...
P3 Drake.
Okay. Right, okay, I see. Interesting call. Interesting that you didn't put Astro Boys up there in the top 3.
That's because I think Drake Bell's got better race pace and will beat him.
Yeah, possibly. But Drake Bell does get himself a lot of penalties, and that's kind of where I think he's going to fall apart a little bit. Now, Astro Boys
Well, he
is
will.
not...
He'll be taken by Hazard because of his penalties.
Yeah, I agree. But I think Astro Boys will also keep himself close enough to be able to pull it off.
I don't. But we'll find out shortly as they are forming up on the grid.
They are indeed. Well, time for them to put money where their mouth is. Some drivers starting on the ultra softs. A lot of the drivers outside of the top 10 are starting on the softs. More drivers than I thought were going to be actually on the soft compound. But here we go. All the cars are on track at the minute. It's now time for them to get their foot buried and take off from the racing start line. Brownie gets away beautifully. Lazzaro is going to be trying his hardest to close in a little bit. There's been a little bit of a switcheroo. Blackbird has managed to take Julian. Julian did not quite get the start that he wanted. The Red Bull of Brownie had to go a little bit defensive. And now Astro Boys is about to be challenged by Drake Bell as he goes down the inside. Astro Boys goes wide. And now he's already getting the drive back.
Here comes
Drake
Rainer.
Bell up the inside. Yeah, Rainer, he could actually just slip through the two of them. He's actually going to be down on the inside of Drake Bell. Drake Bell needs to be careful he doesn't lose this position. And no,
bit of contact behind as well. Julian Blackbird, wheel to wheel.
Yeah, now Blackbird, he actually didn't quite benefit as much as he was hoping. Julian reclaimed that place back to P6. But Blackbird now under a serious threat from Captain Consistency himself. Is he going to be able to go down the inside? He's really on the minerals over here. He's holding on tightly, but there's a bit of contact. Blackbird has lost the back end as a result, and he actually managed to catch it just, but he did lose 2 places as a result. Hazard and Rick and Necromonical Pug now 3 places. So that is a major issue if you're Blackbird. You could argue that Hazard pushed himself a bit too far in the wrong direction, and that was what forced him off track. But it's, that's the drama of the first lap.
Absolutely. Necromonic Pug getting an absolute storm. Gained 6 places already. Harry's gained 5. Ray Rays, you might have just seen, did leave the session once again. So he's obviously suffering with some issues. He's unfortunately dropped back to where he was for most of the qualifying at the very back.
Yeah, so Ray has been in touch and said that he reconnected because he did get disconnected. When he reconnected, he couldn't work out how to take control of his vehicle again. I don't know if the game just wouldn't let him do it or he just didn't know how to do it, but he couldn't do it at the time. But just looking at the start of the race, Astro Boys still holds on to P3, but look who's right behind him now. It was Drake Bell. Drake Bell has been overtaken by Rainer, and now Rainer is smelling every gear change that Astro Boys makes. And if Astro Boys makes a slight mistake, I know that he's not been feeling too confident this race, but Rainer will snatch that position away.
Yeah, I mean, times are a little off at the moment, which isn't helping us. And they generally get sorted out at the end of the second lap. So hopefully those will give us a bit more clue who's racing very close.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still looking pretty good for the front runners. Brownie, he's got Lazzaro not that far behind him actually, and I think that timer is correct. I do think it's about 4 tenths that separates the two of them. But once again, Brownie proving how quick he can be, not just in qualifying, but also when it comes to the race pace. With a 50% fuel load on board, it means the car is super heavy. But it also suggests that he has the setup to manage that.
So a little battle going on further behind. Hazard, Rick and Blackbird battling out for 7th place here. Hazard and Rick were much closer earlier on in the lap, but they've actually they're very close now. Hazard makes a mistake. Rick nearly had it, but Hazard's got the inside line and Rick picks up a penalty. And it's going to be a little drag race down towards the first corner here. 3 of them all battling for Hazard's place. I can see contact happening here. They're all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, already Rick was looking for the inside, but he did back out of it. So Hazard actually managed to keep hold of P7. But I think it's just going to be a matter of time. We are now on lap 3, so DRS has been re-enabled. When we get to, sorry, not re-enabled, it has been enabled. When we get to the middle straight, that's when we're going to start to see all these overtaking opportunities arise. But if the timer is correct, actually Brownie's safe. He hasn't got to worry anything about the DRS. But the person who does need to worry is Astro Boys. Reina does have DRS. He does have the slipstream. I don't think he's going to be able to get the overtake on this time round, but he is definitely going to be in a great place. But he had a little look.
I thought he was
he
going.
backed out very smartly. And Rick did actually make a move using the DRS as we talked earlier, and Hazard is now down in P8.
Yeah, Blackbird's still there as well. He's looking for a way past Hazard. Obviously, this isn't. Maybe it's just the fact that Hazard's not used to driving a Ferrari.
Yeah,
But
possible. But look further ahead. Julian and Drake Bell, they are side by side, and Julian's managed to make a beautiful overtake. And down the inside, and Drake Bell, he's going to be making some moves. I don't think he's going to be able to get it done and dusted, but he's trying. Julian goes quite wide. There's actually a bit of contact, but no damage from anybody's wing. And so far, Julian holds on to P5. Now, we are coming up to the final corner, which does mean there is a DRS straight here going up towards turn 1. Julian's going to be under threat. And I think Julian has got a much better drive out.
Hazard's lost out to Blackbird. He's just falling back now. This is not what we expected from Hazard. Maybe tyres aren't working for him. Maybe setup's a bit wrong. He might not have raced in France for a very long time. Well, with most seasons coming towards the end of their life now, this one's in the middle of it. So it's probably been a while.
Round 8 of 21 is the French Grand Prix. Drake Bell getting a 3-second time penalty there.
Rick behind has a 3-second of his own.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on that actually. As now Drake Bell, who does have DRS as well, is under threat from the Renault. Now this is home territory for the Renault in the French circuit. There's going to be a move down the inside. He's having a little look-see. He managed to get that curb beautifully. Didn't get any sort of warning or penalty for it. Now Drake Bell, he needs to get the better run out, and I don't think he's got it. This is going to be a move here for Rick. Is he going to be able to get down the inside going into this long right-hander? I think he might just give it a bash. But if he can, he's backed out. He had to back out, I think. Close, but very good smart driving there by Rick. And crucially, look up ahead. Astro Boys and Reina. Astro Boys coming to back down the inside. Reina, he needs to figure out a way to keep hold of this position now. I think he's cemented it. That move has been completed. But, immediately after he's finished it, he's going to be on the final corner, which means that now Astro Boys has an opportunity to come back. Slipstream and DRS will be available. Can he do it?
Reina also has Slipstream and DRS on Lassero, who's fallen right off the back of Brownie, 2.7, nearly 3 seconds behind already. So Astro is not even able to close, as Reina just actually pulled away from him more than anything, as behind Drake Bell and Julian swapping places.
And look at the little train that's going on behind them. You got Hazard who's following Blackbird, Blackbird who's following
Oh, here
Rick.
comes Rick. Rick on Drake Bell. He's done it.
He has. That was a
Rick on Julian, sorry.
Smooth move. And now look at that. Blackbird's trying to make some moves on Julian as well, trying to get retaliation for what was there earlier. Remember, Julian is on the ultra soft tyres, so grip
comes
through
Hazard,
the
though.
corners will be in his favour.
Hazard's taken Blackbird, possibly. Yeah, he has.
DRS, but isn't using it.
Who?
Hazard. Oh, he's making some issues for himself now with Blackbird going round. Oh, there's another contact between the two of them. We have seen him already have contact, and that's sent Blackbird down 3 places. Hazard needs to be careful. What we know him for is being consistent and clean. Today, it's looking like a different Hazard. And there goes the 100-meter board, just disintegrating on track. And
Hazard
Blackbird
after 100
gets
points.
P8.
Absolutely. I think the reason Julian's really starting to struggle now is those tyres are starting to fall away. He is on those ultra softs. And no pitters have happened yet. So, yeah, I think Julian's just starting to struggle with this a bit, maybe.
Yeah, I think that might be the case. Julian's got a major issue on his hands in front.
Drake Bell pitted for. Just gonna watch him through the pits and see if there is a nose change, but I can't imagine he's pitting for a strategy. He is.
No wing. It is a tyre change, and
ultras. Interesting.
Oh,
That's. Well, I'm going to throw my strategy book away because that makes no sense.
Well, I think Drake Bell knows something that we clearly don't. He switched off, I think it was the Super Soft, wasn't it? He switched off of that tyre onto the Ultra Soft tyre, which means now he's second to last. he will have the fastest tyre on the circuit, but you know, as you're seeing from Julian, it's not working out as well as he'd hoped being on the ultra soft tyre.
Well, he's going to have to go as long as he can on these and stick a set of softs on at the end. So he might make up a bit of time for an undercut, but then he's got to pit again. So he effectively needs to make up 20 odd seconds on these tyres. And yeah, I mean, he's going to be doing. He basically needs to gain 2 seconds per lap on these. Really, 10 laps on these ultras. But
I think he just doesn't want to go on the soft.
Maybe he's just trying an undercut by doing something they're not expecting. But oh, that's Julian facing the wrong way.
That is indeed.
I just flicked onto him and saw him going off. I think
was
he
that a
might...
mistake from himself, or was there a collision?
Might have been collision. I don't want to say anything because I didn't see it, but Blackbird was very close. I think it was Blackbird. They were very close together.
Let's look a little bit further up as Blackbird, as you were just talking about, is battling again with Hazard as they come into turn 1. There was another contact which meant that Hazard had to cut the corner quite severely, and there's a 3-second time penalty. Captain Consistency is not present today. He is not able to keep himself out of trouble. He's been in a few collisions. Yes, he's not had any damage to himself or the other driver,
Blackbird
but he just doesn't look comfortable at all.
He's not looked comfortable at the weekend, did he, either, which is odd for him. So maybe he's just a bit off this week and just needs a reset. But here we go, see if he can reset that, and he does for now. Be surprised if they don't hit each other. A little bit of contact, and Hazard's been spun.
Hazard! I think there was a nudge.
There was definitely a nudge from my point of view.
Yeah, I think there was a nudge there. Hazard looked like he got his rear end tapped, and that was what sent his back end round. He was already going into a corner anyway. And most of these drivers tend to go for a rear focused car, so even the slightest knock on the rear can send your car spinning.
Well, whether or not that's payback for the amount of times he's hit Blackbird so far this race, I don't know. They have had a fair few nudges, and Blackbird surviving. This time Hazard didn't survive and has dropped down to 9th from effectively 6th.
Yeah, absolutely. So, here is how the grid looks at the minute. Brownie's P1 very comfortably ahead with a 3.6 second lead on Reina. Reina is a very quick driver, and I do fully expect that he'll be able to do something about it and close up the gap, but we'll have to wait and see how he gets on through the rest of the session. Lazaro is P3. Debut race here at WCR, 1.2 seconds behind Reina, showing something in his box of tricks, but P3, which is being closely chased by Astro Boys, is P4, 0.4 seconds different. Yeah, I think we are going to see that pass as they come onto the DRS straight. Lazaro looked a little bit out of shape. Astro Boys now is Captain Consistency today, so far at least, and look at that. Slipstream, wing open, and that's a move completed by Astro Boys. He'll be feeling a lot better with himself.
You say that?
As long as he doesn't lose the cut back, and he's ahead, but it's close.
Yeah, Lazaro's going to have the inside round turn 10, sorry, and 11. So, yeah, Lazaro fighting back. Still not over yet. Lazaro with the inside and gets back past him. Astro Boy slots in behind and made the pass, but unable to defend the inside line round the fast turn 10. And round turn 11. So Lazaro back up into P3. Further behind, Rainbow's closing in on Slashed. Are they not on a DRS? I thought there might be a DRS.
No,
so
there's still going to be a risk of, it's that close between them at the minute that if Slash does make a mistake, then it doesn't even have to be a big one. It could literally just be, oops, I accidentally locked up a bit too much, or oops, I actually put down a bit too much accelerator on the home straight. And now that they've got the DRS available to them again here, with the ERS, you know, you could go for mode 4 if you wanted. He's sitting in mode 5. I think it's because it's a bit too low for him to really warrant it. He could have gone for a move, but nope, not yet. Rainbow is holding on to P8, and Rick getting another 3-second penalty.
It's not going well for him today. He does have P5, but that is his second penalty. And yeah, so we'll see how he does towards the end. Obviously, we're only on lap 9 of 27 as Julian goes fastest. Where is
Astro
Julian?
Boys again, trying to do the same as he did last time around. The difference is this time is that they are on the opposite sides of the track as they were from the last lap. This time again, Astro Boys looks very quick. But looking at Lazaro, he's already in mode 4 and he's fully utilising that slipstream. He's going to be doing everything he can to try and get himself back as he was before. Astro Boy's learned his lesson this time round, and this time he's trying to defend the inside, but it's not going to work out for him so far. If they can stay side by side, Astro Boy's may be able to hold on as they come into the left-hander. Oh, look at the dive he's made there. I think he may have actually done it. Astro Boys needs to keep the foot buried if he wants to keep that position of P3. And Lazaro, he's in all sorts of trouble now, especially if Astro Boys keeps the inside, and he has. Now, whilst he does have DRS, I think Astro Boys may actually be.
Look at Lazaro's drive off the corner, though. Look at that.
That is a drive and a half.
So I don't think there was a dive from Astro. I think Lazaro took a wider entry to get back at him quicker. That's what I look like from my point of view, because obviously you go in too narrow to the corner, you're going to run wider and open up the inside line, which Lazaro looked to take. This was obviously at turn 12, but Lazaro just got a beastly drive off turn 15, that hairpin, and back into P3 goes. And Rick is joining this little party as well, so this could be interesting coming up to the back straight now. Rick and Astro is going to have DRS. Can Astro's attack, or is he going to be using it to defend? It looks like he's going for attack.
Yeah, I don't think Astro Boys is going to be even thinking about defending right now. I mean, look at the pace that he's throwing again, though. They're going to be coming up to the corner. They're going to be pretty close in. But now this time Rick is going to be going down the inside. There was a collision. Rick actually just clapped the inside of Lazaro. Lazaro has still got P4 at the minute. But now what you've seen Lazaro going really aggressive on the last 2 laps. This time he's got a massive yellow vehicle in his mirror, and he's going to be very intimidated by that beautiful Renault there. Rosie's looking very good in this zone here. Is she going to be able to help Rick get through? I think she is not, actually. Looking at that, Lazaro is going to be able to keep that run through.
No.
And P4. Oh, major mistake there by Lazaro. Rick now takes P4, and that is what it takes just to lose a place like that.
Well, this fight has nearly cost Rick a chance to get DRS on Astros, but and Lazaro just getting a terrible drive at the corner, so Rick's able to pull away from him. And so, I mean, this is looking like a done deal for now. But Rick, all out of shape at turn 1, is giving Lazaro a little sniff through at the back as we're coming up towards the technical area, I'm going to call it, and leading into the DRS section. So Lazaro's going to look to hold on to the back of Rick as that gap is at 0.6 now, just going up and down quite by 0.4, 0.2 of a second every now and again. It's quite a big change, and I don't think we're going to see a change between any of these drivers this time.
No, but we may see a change between Slash LP and Rainbow. Rainbow is currently ahead in P7, and now Slash LP is going to be flicking that wing wide open, and look at the gap closing in. Rainbow goes defensive down the inside. But as we've seen from the last laps or so with Astro Boys and Lazaro, that the inside on this bit isn't always necessarily the right one to be on. And Rainbow, whilst it may not have been the case for Astro Boys, it worked out beautifully for Rainbow.
Yeah, meanwhile this is going on, Rain has picked up a 3-second penalty, and so has Julian. Julian currently down in 14th, but he has made a pit stop, so he'll be looking to get some pace and catch up to the guys at front. So there's more penalties. I missed the first one, but Necromania Pug picked up the second one.
It was Rick. Rick, I think he's now on 9 seconds. 9,
yeah. Race leader has pitted though in Brownie, and so has Rainer. That's Rick staying out. Interesting call.
Lazaro's in as well.
Very busy pit lanes here if Slash up here, Rainbow come in.
I think Rainbow will be the first in, if I'm honest.
Right,
out of the 2 Renaults. Oh wow, okay, interesting moves then. I mean, Rainbow didn't look like he was really struggling that much, but you know, it's not always necessarily about are you struggling on these tyres. It's more about will the performance of the tyre be there versus the other drivers on track. A lot of these drivers, especially the front runners, necessarily didn't think that that would be the case, but just want to point out how large the gap is between Brownie and P2. Brownie is, you know, net P1, currently in P5 at the minute. But if you look where what was net P2, which is Astro Boys, he's right the way down there. That's what, 9, almost 10 seconds of a gap there.
And he's got 2 cars between them, which is not going to help him. And the one thing I want to quickly ask you, is it just me or is it starting to look a little bit cloudier?
Oh, you are bang on the nose there, Mr. Weatherman.
They're looking aggressive.
Like a good rain.
And it is! It is. As I say
Oh, I
that,
can
slash
see it.
LP, I can see it on the front of his car. Has that just massively backfired? Is that why Rick and Rainbow haven't pitted? Because they know it's about to start raining.
I think you're right. I don't think these drivers even considered the weather. I think the top front four that are here now, so Rick, Blackbird, and Rainbow and Slash LP, I think they read the weather report and studied it hard enough. And again, look, they're staying out for another lap. They clearly feel as though the track is not ready for them to go into intermediates. And I would agree with them.
Oh, Brownie's just got past slash LP. Didn't even see him coming. That's a dive and a half. So
Well,
Slash
I mean,
is pitting, so it might be worth keeping an eye on him, see what he puts on. Because I mean, at this stage, you've got to put on inters.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, unless you're going to put on a set of ultras and just do a qualifying lap on them and come in again, and that is inters. Oh,
Wow, that is a very, very
I know.
interesting move. Yes, Inters, he's gone out again.
Is it?
It
The
is
softs
definitely...
on my screen that he actually put on.
What does it say next to his name on the
Inters.
graph?
But he actually has softs on my screen.
Yeah, I have seen that a few times. I have seen it where it's been pouring down wet rain, and they've been on ultra soft. But yeah.
Well, it's now starting to actually look wet on this track, a little bit shiny. You can see on the surface. So, it'd be worth keeping an eye actually on our current race leader. See how he's handling. See those front tyres, they've got a bit of graining going down the middle. So they are starting to die, and yeah, that's definite wet weather if you start doing that.
Oh no, Rick. He's already got the 9 seconds of penalties from exceeding track limits, but now to have that, Ferrari's getting a 10-second time penalty as well.
A lot of penalties flying up now.
Brown. So what happens when you just leave it one lap too many on the wet track? You either have
Rainbow's
to take it delicately. Where is that?
That's there.
On the right side.
Turn 10, lost it, overcorrected, and went straight into the wall there.
That's a major issue there. That's one of the Red Bulls.
Oh, Astros has lost the rear end as well, and Rayner's come through. I say that, and Rayner's just doing French drift. They're just going to have to be really careful. All these cars that have just found themselves out here ice skating, because they're just ice skating to another car, pick up a nasty penalty for themselves, or even worse, pick up a damage of DNF.
It does really demonstrate, though, just how... Wow, they're going to be entering these pit lanes in a very awkward manner. There's a Ferrari that's missed the pit lane completely. That is Ferraris.
So you know strategy.
I do.
Why is Brownie still out? Why is Blackbird put on fresh softs? Brownie's about to be undertaken again by Rick. I can only assume Brownie thinks it's just going to go and dry up, or is it going to go full wets? And he didn't want to take the risk, but I mean, he had 10, now he's got 8. He's just going to lose time and time and time.
I'm starting to regret my pick of Brownie, I'm going to be honest.
I'm starting to regret all my picks. I mean, Hazard's gone and not coming back. Brownie is, don't know. I had Drake Bell, he's coming down in 9th. I think we're going to be 0
I think we're both way off. I mean, we didn't know that this weather was going to happen.
No.
I knew Rick wasn't going to... I knew Rick was going to get a lot of penalties. Like I said, he's quick. He just can't keep the consistency levels at the level that they need to be. I have no idea how Brownie is currently out still on the soft. He needs to just admit he made a mistake and not try and correct his mistake and make out like he's got some masterful plan. Unless he does have a masterful plan and we are just not seeing what that is.
That masterful plan could be full wets. Because I mean, you look at Rick, he's not driving comfortably on inters in this weather. Oh yes, I know you got not a lot of grip and they came very close together. Brownie's just got to let him go. So let's see what Brownie does actually put on. Blackbird obviously made a mistake as well.
He stays out again.
Okay, maybe it is full wets going to be soon then. But that's the only thing I can think of, the reason for doing it. Because even if it stops raining, it's still going to be wet for a few laps.
See, what doesn't make sense to me, right, is this can't have been planned by any stretch of the imagination. And the reason I say that is because, let's think about it. You started off on the super soft compound tyre at the beginning of the race, okay? You pitted 2 laps before the rain started to come down.
Not even 2 laps.
And,
The
but then
lapping came.
The rain came down. He'd already switched to softs literally just before it. Then the rain comes down, and he's staying out on the softs. Like, all he needed to do was do what Rick did, which is just stay out on those super soft tires. Doesn't matter how slow you are, because you'll be able to pit, get onto the inters, and really put the hammer down, like you're seeing here from Rick. Rick overtook Brownie on this lap, and already it's at 8 seconds.
And there he goes. Brownie is now facing the wrong way. Oh, he's used the track reset. That's cheeky.
That is cheeky.
Shouldn't be allowed, particularly in this situation, but...
I mean, the one thing I will say about someone who is driving on the softs here is...
They've got big balls.
Well, not just that, but also it can look glorious when they're just Tokyo drifting around corners, as you're about to see here when he goes around this corner.
He's going too slow to even drift.
Oh, are you ready for the exit? Watch this. Get the Tokyo Drift soundtrack ready, because it is coming. Ding, 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 ding.
No, it's not.
Come on,
It's not
Brownie,
even
don't
coming.
let me down. Don't let me down, Brownie.
It's
There he
interesting
goes,
that
there he goes.
Slash
Hey,
LP picks
come
up a 5-second stop go for overtaking Brownie after he was facing the wrong way. I suspect that might be overturned towards the end, but we shall see. Now, Brownie, is he pitting? No.
What is he doing? Unless the rain was only going to be here for a few laps, and he's planning on going out again on the
He's
soft.
hammering it down.
It is.
He's
It
already
is.
dropped back 23 seconds and is now driving off the track because he can't keep it on the track.
Well, I get the impression he was trying to keep himself on these soft compound tyres so that he was able to utilise not needing to pit for the second time. But like you said, he's lost that time already just from being on this tyre. And look, he's just falling further and further and further down. And as long as he carries on, there you go, here we go. This is the Tokyo Drift, there's contact. Drapel slams into the side of Brownie. Brownie was just out wide and making massive mistakes. And now he's closed the door on Lazaro. Lazaro is so much quicker. And it's Brownie's mistake to make.
Drapel's got massive damage, front left wing. And I mean, this is just... I've got no words anymore for what Brownie's doing. He's just affected someone else's race because he's not pitted.
I mean, it was all memes at first. But now it's just got dangerous.
Yeah.
From being hilarious to look at to you're going to take someone out in this race.
And he has. He's taken Drapel out.
Yeah,
Drapel
exactly.
now has to
it
pit.
could have been worse, but you know that's beside the point.
Well, he hasn't pitted yet. We've still got probably another few laps before he pits.
The fact that he's just opted to stay out on this tyre.
I'm hoping that in fact he's a bot. Because this just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a great driver, but this is just illogical.
Well, we've had another DNF, that is Rolls Royce, and that is actually in the same location as where we saw Rainbow go out. The two drivers making a mistake there. We need to give that corner a name. You know, like you have the Wall of Champions? You need to give it a name.
He's still not picking. Is that turn 10, the fast right?
Yeah, where we saw Rainbow go.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
Yeah, I mean, we could do better than that.
Oh,
We'll think of something as we go on through this session. If we lose another one, we'll make a parody of the names, I think. But let's just see how we do in a minute. Rick currently is your race leader. It is a very wet French Grand Prix. Although if you are Brownie, it's still summer days. Yeah, it's still summer days. Birds are chirping away, very happy in the sunshine. And he's switched games
Westwood
to be...
Boys and Mr. Mouse getting close together. Sorry to interrupt you there, but they were dicing all over the place there, trying to battle for the last podium place. Now, effectively, the only person who hasn't pitted really, effectively, is Brownie. So there are no actual positions who they're racing for. They are racing as they look. Brownie's obviously going to pit and lose some time. Drapel's going to pit possibly if he starts struggling, especially with no front wing, as Brownie gets a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. And
I fully suspect that when this goes to the stewards, I completely expect Brownie will be getting a lot more penalties than what he's just got there. as Rick, our current race leader, gets another 3-second penalty. He did get a 5-second stop-go penalty early when he was on the just about to pit for the wet tyre, or the intermediates. And it was a stop-go though, so he does have the opportunity to be able to serve that by the time he does come back in. I think he may have actually served it when he did his pit stop, but we'll have to see.
As Rayner, Mr. Mouse and Astros battling still for P3. Battle going on behind as well. Julian, Ferraris and Zoxton as Rayner goes past Astro Boys. Astro Boys does have the inside line, but Rayner's then got the inside line in the next corner. He's going to hold it, because then Astros has the inside line for this corner and has a double inside line. But that is a great drive off the corner by Rayner. He's going to go around the outside and hold P4. And they are now coming up to lap Brownie, I think. Is that? Or is
Very
that
likely
an AI of... Oh, it could be Harry, actually.
Could be Harry. Astro Boys actually got very wobbly on the... he got very wobbly on the exit of that corner, and that meant that he couldn't make the move.
Rayner on the back of Mr. Mouse. That is Harry's car, so don't need to worry about that. That is just a ghost.
Okay. So, let's just settle ourselves down a second. Whilst I mean, these two are not settling down at all. They are still battling. Actually, Rayner managed to get past Mr. Mouse just when I thought that things were going to calm down. And then Rayner just says... Speaking of Rayner,
it is not raining.
That is true. But Brownie's had such a huge impact on himself throughout this race that what could have been a master strategy from Brownie is now going to hinder him massively. I mean, he may... I mean, could he have actually made it to the end of the race?
I mean, potentially, but those tyres are going to be so cold now. And he's still losing time. It's still not dry weather track yet.
Mr. Mouse and Astro Boys. Astro Boys managed to get around the outside, and that does mean that Mr. Mouse does lose out on P4.
See what Drake Bell puts on that. Oh, he does have that front wing, so maybe that's what it is. And yes, he's going supers. Drake Bell's gone for dries. Interesting call. Could be a little too early.
I mean, like you said, the rain had stopped, but that doesn't mean that the water just disappears. It's already on the track. So it's going to be whether or not he is going to be able to actually just keep himself going. I mean, we have seen this a few times across loads of different racer leagues where you see them pit just a lap or two too early on the dries, and when you get on the dries, you just see the back end just disappear, and that's where they end up buried in a wall somewhere.
More pitting. So maybe that's
looking all right. If you look at Drake Bell, the way he's driving at the minute, it's actually looking pretty good.
Let's have a look. He's got a car right behind him. See if you can hold him off. I don't think he will, because he's just closed in 2/10. And I suspect Spa Gamer, aptly named for a wet weather race, is just going to walk straight past him here. As I say that.
One of the things I've spotted in this game in particular is when you need to be pitting on your, the optimal time for you to be able to switch to dries is when you're already in the pit lane and it says DRS enabled. That is the optimal time for you to really be switching tyres. When you come out of the track, come out of the pit, sorry, the track will be warm enough.
Yeah, I was about to say it's about time, because I'm watching Drake Bell and Spa, and Drake Bell is not being easily passed, and it's actually starting to move away from Spa. So yeah, it is about time. And Rayner hasn't pitted, interestingly, so he's going to struggle a little bit on this lap. He might be looking for the water offline to fuel his tyres.
Is he going to do a Brownie but in reverse?
Well, again, we saw that at the weekend and it doesn't work.
I think it was Ebro who was watching, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had a whole nightmare of issues. He was in P1 for quite a little lengthy period of time. Astro Boys has left.
In the pit lane as well.
Disconnect.
He's not in the pit lane, he's currently on track. It says he's in the pit lane.
Yeah, I think his AI is already on driving for him. Rayner trying to close in on Rick, but Rick is just too much faster now that he's on these dry tyres. If this could actually play massively into Rick's hands. There are only 7 laps of the session remaining. Rick has a ginormous distance between him and /LP. Realistically, Rayner will have to pit. And I know that Rick has a lot of penalties, but currently his penalties do not put him in a position where he is under threat from /LP. If he carries on driving the way he has been, then it'll be a matter of time before he is. But still, Rick might actually walk away here with a race victory. He played it perfectly. He pitted at the opportune time. I mean, he did gain himself a couple of penalties when he switched from the dry to the wet in the first place. But look at him now.
Here comes Rayner. But interestingly, Slash Up is on the Ultras. I suspect Rayner's going to come out on the Ultras as well. But he'll be quite far down. He's got a penalty to serve as well, so he's not really going to be challenging. Super's interesting call. We are in the ability to do Ultras from here to the end, as Rick gets more penalties. You sure about this?
Now he's in a risky position. If he'd have kept it clean with the ones he had already, then that'd have been a different story. It'd have been okay.
Can you see Rayner?
I can. Not see Rayner.
Oh, there you go.
It's just
Slightly triggered this there. Right in front of Julian.
Where is Astro Boys if you're on track?
DC'd.
He has disconnected for me. He says he's in the pit.
He's just stopped on track.
Yeah, same.
He's left the session again.
Alright, well, let's move away from that. Julian, P6 at the minute, hunting for Rayner's place on track. He's just on the tippy edge of whether or not he's going to get DRS or not.
He does.
Got it. 6 laps to go. A lot to play for here. These drivers, there's a lot of battling opportunities to carry out. And I think this one here is going to be the start of very many to come.
Julian gets away with it though. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how he got away with that. That was a massive call on the curve.
Well, when you know the system, you can beat it. But Mr. Mouse as well, he's having an absolute fly. I haven't seen much from him through this season, but he's up in P4, battling out with Lassero. Softer tyres as well, so that could be an interesting battle come the end of the race.
I don't want to take my eyes away from Julian and Rayner in the minute. They are very close. I mean, Julian was literally kissing the back end of Rayner, and I think once we see this DRS opportunity, I don't think maybe there's... Oh, actually, the way that Rayner took that line, it made it look like he was going to be really struggling, although Julian managed to get DRS. I don't think it's going to be enough for him to do it here. It's going to be a middle of the race DRS zone before he actually gets the opportunity to make an overtake happen, unless Rayner makes a mistake.
Yeah, well, Rayner's just started to increase that lead on him there, but Julian has still got it within that 1 second window. It's behind Ferraris and Drake Bell. They're within 1 second, and that really triggered Julian, I think. Seeing the abandoned car of Astro Boys in the middle of the track. I think that might be an issue on Astro Boys' end that can't be removed for some reason. And Julian's gaining. It's not going to be close enough. He goes in a little deep there.
So I've been informed by Astro Boys that when he reconnects, he can't actually take control of his car. So unfortunately, game glitches are affecting his ability to race. But Julian now, here's an opportunity for him to go around Rayner. This is going to be a very wide move if he can pull it off. Rayner needs to be defensive, but needs to be smart about it. Julian, you can see the way he's taking these lines. He's trying to be as quick as he can, and it's doing well in a minute, but Rayner's just that bit quicker. And so far, Rayner holds on to P5. But we are coming up to a DRS zone, so if Julian can capitalise on any mistake that Rayner makes, or even if he can just get a better drive, and I think this might be it. This is his opportunity. Get the foot buried. Get yourself into the DRS zone, and let's go. You overtake mode into mode 4. Let's see how much he can do. He's closing in very quickly. It's not going to be
close enough. Rayner got a decent drive off the corner. I think Julian was a little bit slower, but was able to close in simply due to mode 4 and DRS. As Ferrari and Drake Bells are all over the place.
Well, Drake Bell just slammed into the side of Ferrari and sent Ferrari's off track quite a considerable amount. And looking at how it's driving at the minute, it's going to be another battle continuously. We talked about how Julian and Rayner was going to be a battle, and now Ferraris and Drake Bell are also doing the same thing. Drake Bell gets a penalty, Astro Boys is disqualified.
Finally.
That is not his fault, but at least the car will have disappeared. There it is, that is going.
Here comes Ferraris. That's going to be an easy one.
It is. Wow, that was a very quick overtake. Now,
wow, yeah.
Well, now that that's been cemented, let's take a look at Rayner and Julian again, as Julian's trying to make some moves again down the inside of Rainbow Corner. Rainbow Road, that's what we should call it. Rainbow Road. I like that. Rainbow Road hasn't claimed these two, but Julian has managed to claim P5. 3 seconds separates him from the car ahead, so there is still an opportunity for him to gain some extra valuable points. 3 laps to go. The gap isn't too out of reach, but Mr. Mouse being on the ultra soft tyres, you would have thought they'd be able to pull away. And Reina is not yet ready to surrender that place to Julian. He wants it back, and I think it's going to go toe-to-toe for the rest of this race.
Yeah, he's going to get some DRS here, and this looks like it should be an easy pass, but Julian has just started pulling away, and Julian sets the fastest lap. Obviously helped by that DRS on the back straight. And
Reina! Oh, I thought there was going to be contact there. But Julian's held on P5 for now. Rick getting another 3 second penalty. I mean, he has increased his lead by quite the margin. Julian makes a mistake. Reina still not able to capitalise.
Look at they're gaining out to Mr. Mouse.
Oh, there was a nudge. There was a nudge there. Reina just clipped the back end of Julian. Julian managed to catch it and bring himself back. Reina, being the sportsmanship driver that he is, let Julian regain that place and didn't go for an overtake. I mean, obviously he's not going to be sitting like that for much longer because he's already going to be going again. They've touched again. Reina needs to be just that little bit more careful. I totally get that he wants to be aggressive, but as they enter Rainbow Road, you can't afford to make a mistake because we've seen already 2 DNFs in that one location. Are we going to see a third? Julian, man, that was almost a risky move there by Reina. And Julian's life must have flashed before his eyes.
Yeah, I mean, this is now the only battle actually on track. Drake Bell and Ferrari still close, but actually they are now caught out to the back of Mr. Mouse. So Julian is going to get DRS from Mr. Mouse. Potentially, yes he will. So he'll be able to defend a little bit easier now.
Mr. Mouse may actually lose 2 places if this carries on. Reina, look how close he is this time. This is actually going to be the first time that we see a driver switch on the home straight. There was a little bit of a connection issue which did cause Julian to lose that place. But it's not like it's affecting him massively. It just means he has to re-overtake Reina yet again. There are 2 laps to go. Plenty of time to do it in.
Oh, contact.
Now Julian repays the favour to Reina in the same way that happened before. But is it going to be Reina going off the track? Let's find out, as it was this corner here where we saw Julian go off. Julian keeping it together.
Mr. Mouse is really struggling.
He really is. I mean, we saw the ultra softs of Julian on the first stint, and they fell apart around about this time as well. Look at the pace that Julian's got. He's going to be making moves, and I thought he was going to make a dive down the inside of Mr. Mouse. Julian, that was next level speed right there.
Well, he's going to make the move potentially here as they come up to Rainbow Corner or Rainbow Road, and he's pulled alongside, and he's currently in front. But Mr. Mouse does have that inside line. Unfortunately, Julian has more power. Well, unfortunately for Mr. Mouse, he has more power. So this battle moves up now for P4 instead of P5. And I think maybe P3 is out of the question with Rick. Is he? Yeah, he started the lap 26, so...
So Rick, I think, is safe in P1 as long as he doesn't get any more penalties. It's 23 seconds currently the gap between him and P2, so he's a massively commanding lead for him. But it's, you know, if he doesn't tidy it up a little bit by the end of this race, I mean, there is only 2 laps to go, but it's just going to be insane. But not as insane as this battle has been between him and between Julian and Reina. I think Julian is being very smart about this situation. He knows if he overtakes here on this lap, he will actually lose out to Reina on the last lap, and that will be a P5 regardless of his situation. So what Julian needs to do is fully utilize the fact that he will get DRS from Reina here, keep the gap pretty close, charge up his DRS for the final push on the last lap, and then tear it around the track to get that position from Reina. Although someone needs to tell him that, because he's clearly not thinking that far ahead. He used mode 4 there to close that gap. I think he was a bit worried he was going to be outside of that range, but he's doing well.
Yeah, that gap is 0.6.5 now of a second. Let's come up to Rainbow Road, holding it around there as Drake Bell loses out to Zoxon further back as this is all taking place. Maybe Julian knows that Reina's got more penalties. I think Reina might have more penalties. I don't know for certain. And maybe that's playing on Julian's mind. He just needs to stay on the back of him and just collect it through penalties. As they're coming up to the final corner to start the last lap. Rick is comfortably out in the lead. He's about to get a 25-second lead, so he might be able to afford another penalty if need be. But Julian's fallen off the back of Rayner.
He has, quite considerably as well.
Brownlee.
He's almost outside of DRS range.
Brownlee's on the back of Drake Bell. These two came together earlier on, costing Drake Bell a wing, while Brownlee was trying to ice skate, and Julian picks up a 3-second penalty. That could be huge. Brownlee making
I
moves.
think Rayner has penalty as well, doesn't he?
He does. I don't know who has more. Brownlee's just got past Drake Bell for
Yeah.
P9, and Drake
Oh,
Bell's
he's just
more
got himself
penalties.
for 3 seconds as well there. Though.
But Brownlee does have a lot of penalties of his own from what he's done. He might get hit with more post-race, particularly since he's now in front of the guy that affected his race in a big way.
But let's go back to our race leader as Rosie and Rick are coming round the final corner to do their little wiggle of celebration here at Renault's home circuit in France. And Rick takes home P1 as it stands. Obviously, there are a lot of penalties available in for Rick as well, but whether or not that's going to be a problem as Flash is so far back. Rick had such a solid drive here in this race that I think he's going to be more than safe. I think it's going to be like a good solid 8 seconds between them.
Well, Slash does have his own penalty, and I think that's what's going to cost. Yeah, there you go, 13 seconds. Lassero might get P2 here then.
Nope. I think he had matching penalties with Slash. It didn't quite work out how he wanted, but how's he going to fare off between Rayner and Julian?
Julian's well off
yeah,
after penalties.
I think that might be why he backed out.
Julian's been taken by Mr. Mouse as well.
That's huge. That could have been very valuable points for Julian that may have been, quite impactful on the Drivers' Championship.
So, Brownlee coming across the line. Draper doesn't gain him through penalties. So Brownlee with a half-decent recovery, but very controversial drive. Looking forward to seeing the outcome in the stewards' room for that one.
Hazard is AI mode.
Yeah, he is.
I didn't see him leave.
He is a long time ago.
Ah, okay. Well, that is it for the French Grand Prix. What an absolutely emotional race for these drivers on track. But the most important question of the day, and the most important question you will answer for the rest of this Grand Prix.
I was going to say, hang on.
Who is your driver of the day?
I think it has to go to Rick. He just completely controls strategy. Yeah, he picked up penalties, but his strategy was on point. He pitted at the right times. And yeah, I mean, it worked out very well for him, as we see, because he's at the top of the podium. 18 seconds of penalties there, that's a lot.
Yep, I agree with you. I think Rick definitely deserves driver of the day. He didn't have the greatest start to the race because of the fact that he had that penalty. He started in P10, by the way. And like you said, he did have the 18 seconds of penalties against his name as well. But to drive as well as he did, he absolutely tore it around the track. And to say that before the Grand Prix, he told me he was going to DNF on lap 1, and he went and finished the race in P1, that is next level performance by him. So really well done by Rick. Congratulations, Rick, Slash, and Lazzaro for your podium finish. And thank you very much, Castle, for casting with me here today. But that is it from us here at World Championship Racing. Thank you for taking part. Thank you for watching. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week when we race...
Oh, sorry, you answer that, and I'll tell you the problem with Brownie.
You tell me the problem with Brownie whilst I remember which track
Apparently, he couldn't choose inters. So, obviously, Codemaster's messing things up a little bit there, maybe?
Definitely. You are going to have to help me. I can't remember what's next.
It's your favourite. It's your bay. I know you're going to cheat. It's Austria.
It's Austria, that's not my bay.
Who's your bay then?
My bay is...
Oh, it's Russia, isn't it?
Probably Japan now, I'd say.
You're cheating on...
No, I'm not cheating on the Rus.